All right, hey guys, happy 4th of July. So today I'm going to be taking you through week 9, which is wrapping up our project 3. So I'm going to be walking you through kind of the day-to-day stuff we'll be doing for this week and making sure that you're comfortable with submitting all the stuff you have to submit by the end of the week. And also starting to think about, the course that's going to start wrapping up here pretty soon as well. Okay, so real quick, I know I've got some blogs to look at and some annotated bibliographies to look at. I will get your grades back for those ASAP. However, my priority over the next day or two is going to be getting feedback on your rough drafts you just turned in. And so you'll get feedback on those within the next day or two, and then I'll move on to getting your grades for the blogs and stuff like that. That way, you guys have my feedback as early as possible before you submit your final draft. So again, look out for the rough draft feedback over the next day or two, and following that, then you'll get your grades for everything else. Okay. So let's take a look at week 9 then. So here we are on week 9. So today is Monday, so let's look at what's coming up. So by Wednesday, remember, you need to have uploaded Project 3B. And if you remember, I put a Dropbox for you guys on your peer review groups. So you've got your Project 3 rough drafts. Then right under that, you've got your Project 3 Dropbox. And you'll create a thread and upload a file just like you would for anything else. All right, so let's head back to week 9. Okay, so by Wednesday, then you should upload your Project 3. And now what I want you guys to try to do by Friday as you're working on your own final drafts is to watch your partner's videos and their presentations. And what I want you to try to do is to, on that thread, post a reply, just like 4 or 5 questions that popped into your head while you're watching this. So these could be questions that are asking them to, maybe, hey, this is really interesting. This might be something you should explain more in your literature review, or why did you choose to do this? Like whatever question that you might just have. If you think of yourself as like an audience member sitting in the crowd, and you just listen to this presentation. What's a question that you have? So try to post 4 to 5 questions for them to work with. And so then what will happen is get those up by Friday. Then by Sunday, we'll be pretty well set to do the rest of our work. So let's take a look. So Sunday, we have a blog due. So let's take a look at that. And so because this is kind of, we pushed some due dates back, I've given you guys 2 options to go for the blog. Your first option is to select at least 5 questions that were posed to you by your classmates on your video or on your presentation. And your job would be to create a post in which you list these questions and your responses to these questions. Basically, so use this blog as an opportunity to answer the questions that you were asked. And to think about how the feedback might help you shape your final draft of Project 4. So that's one way. If you, for whatever reason, because I know how things go sometimes, if you don't have 5 questions or they're just maybe 5 of the same questions or whatever, here's your other option. You can just discuss how Project 3B in general helped you think about your research. So how did putting these things into a presentation form help you think about the stuff that you found? How did presenting your research in this way affect your understanding of the sources, topics, etc.? So those are your 2 options, and do whatever one you feel comfortable with. Okay, back to week 9. So you'll have your blog due, and then of course your final draft of Project 3, your 3B stuff, all of that is going to be due Sunday. So remember, your presentation for 3B is due Wednesday, but then if you remember, there's you have to do explain the choices that you made in 3B. That's due by Sunday. And so let's take a look at all of this just in more detail. Oops, let's go back week 9. Here we go. Okay, so if we go back, maybe, what you'll see is down here, we've got our Dropbox for Project 3. Okay, so as you can see here, I've tried to remind you, be sure to submit your final draft for your lit review, your process memo for your lit review, like always, just, what were you thinking, reflect on your experience, etc., etc. And then for your Project 3B, remember you have to submit your slide annotations. And so this is just asking you, this is like 1 to 2 pages total, asking you to think about the choices that you made in your in your presentation and why you chose to do what you did. So why you chose to focus on the research you did, why you chose the images that you did, whatever it is, just kind of talking through the choices that you made. So those are the 3 things that I'll be expecting on Sunday. Your final draft for your lit review, your process memo, and your just little explanation / reflection for project 3B. Okay. I almost asked if there's any questions. This is a video. There'll probably be questions, but you can ask them. Okay, so then let's take a look at the last thing that I want to show you for today. It's going to be a shorter video, but let's take a look here. So as you know, every project, all the rubrics for every project are on your syllabus. So let's take a look at your literature review rubric, and this is what I'll be using to grade your guys' papers. Okay, so the first thing I'll be looking for is the basic content, meeting the itemized demands of the project above. So what we're talking about here is, have you done all this stuff? You don't have to include an invention portfolio. This is all stuff that you've been doing. So I've got your annotated bibliography, I've got your research questions, I've got your launch text. This is all stuff that you've already turned in. And so what you've done so far is your process or your invention portfolio. You don't need to resubmit that. I've already got that. So have you done this stuff? Have you been keeping up with the work throughout the project? And then are we looking at 2,000-ish words, not including the bibliography? And then do you use appropriate citation of your 8 to 10 sources, et cetera, et cetera? And this uses section headings to organize and signpost content. So if you remember that the example that I showed you guys that had really clear headings that was dividing up how these sources were working with each other. Remember there was like history one, a psychology one, et cetera, et cetera. That would be helpful if you could break that up in that way and just signal, hey, this is maybe a topic shift, or these sources are dealing with a little bit different, whatever it is. Okay. So basic content, do you have this stuff? And then like, do you just, like, is the lit review demonstrating that kind of synthesis? Are you showing how these things are related to each other? Purpose. The essay serves a clear research purpose and logically leads reader through the intellectual moves that supports its conclusions. So all we mean here is, like, is there a clear, can I understand your reason for doing this, right? And so I'm thinking here, like, one of the things you want you to ask yourself is, like, okay, so why am I interested in this topic, and why am I collecting these sources? And that's something you can tell your reader, like, look, this is a topic that I'm really interested in. Remember that kind of personal stake section that we saw in the example. So, like, look, this is something that I'm interested in. These sources are all going to help me figure out more about this topic, right? Is there a clear topic? Audience addresses a clear and authentic audience, situates the essay in ongoing professional academic conversations. This is going to be a product of that kind of analysis that you're going to be doing when you're just showing me how these sources are relating to each other. What that's going to do is it's going to make this clear that you're dealing with, like, academics or experts and how they're related to each other. So when you're doing that, like, source 1 says this, source 2 says this, and this is how they relate, or this is how they disagree. That's kind of where this stuff comes in. Organization. The essay establishes clear relationships between the various sources, like I just said, and structural parts of the essay. The introduction establishes an exigence and guiding questions. Okay, so this exigence and guiding questions is kind of a weird way to say purpose. Again, can you tell me what collecting these sources does for you? Okay, and so in your introduction, if you remember from that example, what we're looking for is for you just to basically outline the topic that you're dealing with, or that the sources are going to be talking about. Give me a little bit of a sense of your stake in this issue, and tell me what you hope to find, or what you were hoping to find when you were doing research, or what collecting all this stuff does for you. And it could be, look, this is going to help me make some sort of argument later on, or it could be, this just helps me know more about a topic that I care about, right? So I want you to try to think about, okay, you've just done all this work, but why? Like, what does this do for you now? Okay. Clarity, obviously, I can understand what you're talking about. And then attention to timeliness, scaffolding, and submission. So just making sure that you guys have been keeping up with everything. Okay. So there's our rubric. If you have any questions on that, obviously email me. Okay. So let's review. So Wednesday, you'll submit your presentations to your group. By Friday, you'll have watched your group members' videos and ask them some questions. Then by Sunday, you'll upload your blog, your final draft, your process memo, and your slide annotations. All right, guys, like I said, I will get those comments on your rough drafts back to you ASAP, so you should have them soon. If you do have any questions, let me know, and I will talk to you later.